In business, most people don't have a quality problem. They have a speed problem and a consistency problem. Too many people get hung up on thinking, oh, I've just got to make this thing a little bit better, or some kind of certain standard that you're working towards. Then you either get hung up and do nothing at all, or you just get things done so slowly that you're not able to iterate and kind of get the feedback you need to be able to improve and sustain yourself with it. That brings us to the consistency problem, that you're not able to stick with it for a long enough period of time to get to where you need. I think everyone kind of understands that if you want to be successful with a business, you have to figure out how you can provide value. And maybe this is why people get stuck, because they think, okay, I need to create something valuable enough, but then you get hung up on these things that aren't important and you're not able to sustain themselves. But I'm going to show you how to fix it. I've helped 10,000 plus creators build online businesses, as well as run my own business for the past 16 years. And this is what I learned the solution is. And what I really believe is that anybody could build a successful business or a successful product. Anybody could reach that level of quality that's needed if they were given enough time to become true masters at whatever they're trying to build. So this is not like some issue of raw talent, where the skill really is being able to build those skills by figuring out the things that you can do fast enough, and then figuring out how you can do those things for a long enough period. There isn't a shortcut that's going to give you that thing instantly. It takes time to create a great product. And the thing that gets most people hung up is just their ability to move fast enough. They just can't stick with it. The way that I would say you figure out what you actually have to accomplish in your business is to work backwards. Figure out the actual numbers of what you have to achieve and accomplish, not the revenue numbers that you have to reach, but the things that you have to do to be able to reach those revenue numbers. So if you're building software, how many lines of code do you realistically have to write? If you are building a content business, how many videos do you have to put out? If you're involved in selling some kind of product, how many phone calls do you actually have to make? So that way you can understand what the ultimate thing is, and then understand what you're going to have to do to be able to get to that point fast enough. So in my case, that was figuring out, how can I produce more code to create this software better and faster, so I have a quality product that's not going to take years to get to the point to sell to somebody. Whatever that number is, that's what you have to figure out, and then work backwards from that to figure out, how am I going to get to that point? In my business, from what I've been able to accomplish over the years, I think that my strength is being able to work really fast in code and product. I'm finally at the point now, starting from not knowing how to program at all, to now being able to release features every single day and build these software products very, very quickly. Now compounded over more than 5 years of doing that for my main product, I've been able to accomplish more than even many large teams can, and with much less capital invested. Where I don't have the skill yet is with content. There's other people out there who are just putting out not only consistent content, but it's like every single day, just content, all this content. For me right now to be able to do that, I think I have hopefully a good enough quality of content in a way, but I'm just not able to get it done fast enough. It takes too long for me. And if I could get it done faster, not only would that help me make a bigger impact, but I'd also be able to learn from that and make it better and better over time. And yes, I'm talking at like a higher level here, because you could say, well, yeah, I do have over 100 podcast episodes, and my main company's website, Heights Platform, we're approaching like 1,000 pages on that website. But if you look at the big guys out there, the companies that are really large and really, really successful, it's not necessarily because they have a better quality. It's just that they're able to put out so much more. If you extrapolate and look at an individual who's just starting out, they say, okay, I want to make a YouTube video. Maybe they don't have a team. Maybe they don't have experience. Maybe they actually have a lot of like this raw talent. Maybe let's assume they're naturally great on camera and good at having something really interesting and entertaining to talk about. Maybe they can get picked up by the algorithm and they don't need any fancy editing or something like that. But the problem is, even if that were the case, people like that still get hung up on all these things. I would hope that they wouldn't, but people worry like, oh, I don't have an intro song. I don't have whatever kind of thing that I need to be able to release this video, or whatever the thing is. And meanwhile, the people who are the professionals who are really doing this, they are just knocking this content out. The skill is not only the level of quality that you're able to produce, but how quickly you can produce something at that level of quality. And so getting good at producing this certain standard of output in a short enough time, and figuring out how can you make that time period shorter. In my company, one of my goals is that we're trying to figure out how can we get better at this content side. YouTube is one of those things, but for me, I think the highest leverage thing that I can do that is going to involve less of my direct time is more web-based content. So web pages, blogs, things like that. Looking at this, when we started out, we were putting out a couple pieces a week, maybe even less less than that. But if our biggest competitor has thousands of pages and then you try to extrapolate out how long it's going to take for us to get to that point, it's just going to take too long. And so some companies solve that by saying, okay, we're going to get investors. And if we get enough money and then we spend enough money, then we can hire enough people. And yes, even though it's going to be terribly inefficient in how we're doing that, we can get to that number faster. In my case though, and probably a lot of you watching or listening to this, you are an individual. You're trying to figure this out on your own. So for me, it's what can I do? How can I be more efficient? Because I don't want to be answering to an investor. For me, I have to figure this out. If I have to create thousands of pages, then what's it going to look like? How am I going to be able to maintain this quality standard that I have and then take the right actions more rapidly? I can share a story of an example about this. There's a popular project management software. It's called ClickUp. It's the software that my team uses. The founders, at least a few years ago, when I talked with them, they had a $4 billion valuation. I was fortunate to be able to meet with one of the founders and talk with him a few years back. And I was really curious to talk with him because I knew that when they started out, they reached, I think, about $20 million a year before they raised any money at all. And I wanted to know, okay, how were they able to do that? And what do I need to do to be able to get to that level? I asked Chris, one of ClickUp's co-founders, and I told him, hey, we're doing blogs, we're doing this, we're doing that. I asked him, like, what am I doing wrong? What do I have to do better? What do I have to do more? And his answer was basically do more. It wasn't that there was anything that we were doing that was wrong. It wasn't that we were missing anything or doing something bad. It was just that we had to do more. And he gave me the example of saying that what they were doing in their company is every single person had to write a blog post every single day. And that's how they got to that point of growth. My current goal is to produce and create 100 pages on my website per month. And now let me be clear, I'm not trying to create AI slop pages. These are real valuable content. We're trying to keep the same level of quality that we would have before, but now multiply that and create even more. And so using AI now, we are able to leverage that and take the ideas that we have and the content that we have and find ways to create these things. So like one of the strategies of what I'm building right now are these free tools. So I've built these free tool pages. Hopefully I can show up in Google for some of these tools. And what I'm building, it's not like brand new things that have never been done before, but my goal is, okay, if I can build this thing and build enough of these things, and if I can make each one of them just a little bit better than whatever's out there on the market for free right now, or some of these tools, even like they've been built a while ago and they try to charge for some kind of premium feature, can I just make that free and make it better than what currently exists? And I've gotten a good workflow that I'm able to use my skills in code and understanding AI that we're just knocking out these different tool pages. And so I started this idea in last week. Now I've got 13 tools that are live. Probably by the time this video goes live, there will be even more. And so 100 pages per month, that's one thing, but maybe that's not even fast enough. So how do I find a way that once I get better at this thing, how can I scale it beyond that and get better even from there? So that's what I would challenge you to figure out for yourself and for your own business. What is the thing that you actually have to reach? What is the goal that you actually have to reach in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish? And then how can you find some kind of lever that you can pull with your experience where you're going to be able to do something faster than before? And I would add to that, you can't say, okay, you know what? I get it. I'm going to just do this thing a long time. So that means I'm going to practice YouTube for 2 years and then I'll finally put something out that's just really great quality. So I'm going to wait 2 years before I release the video. That does not work because you need to get feedback. You need to understand what's working and what's not. And so that's the other skill in this, is not being afraid to put something out there. So many newer entrepreneurs, especially, they're like worried about being embarrassed in the beginning. They're worried about something being not as good as they want it to be. But in reality, the most likely reaction you will receive is no reaction at all. And if you receive even negative feedback, that's awesome, because at least you got something from somebody that they had some kind of emotion enough to tell you something about what you're doing. So you can use that to figure out how to potentially improve. And even these little amounts of views, these little amounts of whatever interactions you can have with the thing that you're putting out there is going to help you learn so much faster so you can be able to iterate and improve. So you need to be able to have two things. One, the ability to be consistent for a long enough period of time so that you can finally get to that quality product so it can come to existence in the world. And number two is that you need to be fast enough to deliver in things, whether it's product or marketing, that you can have this advantage to beat somebody else in that. And so it's not just being able to create the product faster and get to that point, but it's also in the marketing and the things that you're doing and putting out there. And now is probably the most exciting time to be thinking about all of this, because more than ever, you're able to do these things without having to raise a bunch of money, without having to hire 1,000 people. You have AI now to be able to help you with research and ideation and even the workflow itself. So you just have to come up with these ideas with the actual content, and then the little things that you don't know or understand, you don't have to spend hours or days or even months learning about them. AI can help walk you through that and teach you and help you build a workflow that's more efficient and faster than ever. What do you think about this video? If you've identified something that you believe you need to focus on in your business as a result of this, please leave it in the comments for us below and share that with me. I'll do my best to respond to everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. And if you're building any kind of digital or info product business, any kind of community membership, take a look at my product Heights platform. We've got a free 30-day trial. Link is in the description.